Hey everyone, my name is Hannah Swogger, and in honor of Mother's Day, I wanted to share my favorite story of my own mother. It was about 2004. I was 13 years old, and my mom and I had one of those rare evenings where it was just her and I at home. As one of 5 children, that is a very rare moment to have a moment with just us, and she spontaneously decided that we could take our delivery van for our family business and drive down the road to Blanton Woods in Danville for a quick hike. Now, we loaded up in this van. It's a delivery van, again, for our business. We called it Big Blue because it was big, it was blue, and we were not very creative. So we load up in this car, we drive to Blanton Woods, and we have a beautiful hike together. The weather was gorgeous. Our story begins when we come back to the van. Now, Big Blue was a clunky old church van. It had squeaky brakes. It was old. There was no air conditioning. All of the seats had been taken out for delivery stuff. It was an old, well-loved vehicle. And as my mom pulled out her keys, she realized that this is one of those vehicles that had a different key for the door and for the ignition. And she had locked the doors to the van as we went on our hike, and she realized that on her keys she only had the ignition key. She did not have the key for the door. So we were looking around trying to figure out what to do next. She pulls out her cell phone and she tries to call my sisters. None of them were answering. She calls my dad, but he's across town doing deliveries with my brother. There was nothing that we could do. She tried to have me stick my spindly 13-year-old arms in the cracked window to try and go unlatch the lock mechanism on the car. But even my 13-year-old scrawny arms could not reach through the crack in the window. So as we're trying to figure out what to do and how to get home, we're just kind of looking around trying to figure out how long we can wait to see if my dad can get there, because he's going to be out for most of the rest of the day, well into the evening. My mom says, "Hang on, hold my keys," and she reaches around behind her back and unclasps her bra, then pulls it out her sleeve and says, "Hannah, give me the keys back." And at this point, I'm like, "What are you doing, Mom?" And I'm looking around to make sure that there's nobody who's witnessing what's happening. And my mom gets the key ring off of her keychain and clips it onto her bra and shoves her bra through the cracked window in the car and dangles it down to try to, like, fish for the lock mechanism. And she's trying to latch it onto the lock to bring it up. Meanwhile, my 13-year-old self-conscious self realizes that there's some cute boys walking by, and I am doing everything I can to inch away from her and to avert eye contact and to pretend that I do not know this woman, because I'm at a vulnerable age, and I do not think that what she is about to do will even possibly or remotely work. So she dangles the keychain from her bra in that window and almost gets it, and then it flings off, and she cannot get this on there. We try for at least 15 minutes to get this on there, and at last I am completely exasperated and embarrassed by my mother, and I decide, you know what, we're only 5 miles away from home. I'm gonna just walk home. So I turn on my heel and start trudging down the road onto Washington Street, and I am walking home, and I'm like, I don't care if it takes a couple hours, I'm going to make it home, and I'm going to try and get a ride for my mom. And that's when I heard it, the familiar squeaking of the brakes. And as Big Blue pulled up next to me with my mom grinning ear to ear and with her bra dangling up out the window, I just realized that my mom had really MacGyvered her way into our locked vehicle, and that she is the most resourceful and strongest person that I've ever known. And That is, of all moments with my mother, what I hope that I will carry with me into the rest of my life is a boldness and a tenacity and a willingness to solve problems with whatever resources you have at hand. I wish everybody a happy Mother's Day, and I hope that you can share your own stories of your mother.